All right. You sent over a whole stack of stuff on Skål International, so I guess you're ready to dive into this whole network, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. It's pretty fascinating.
Website, brochures.
Yeah.
You've even got some articles in here.
It's like the United Nations of tourism, really, when you think about it.
Okay, so where do we even start?
Well, over 12,000 members.
Oh, wow.
Across 83 countries,
Uh-huh.
all speaking the language of travel and tourism, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty big network.
And it's been quietly shaping the industry since 1934.
1934.
Yeah.
That's, what, almost a century of making connections.
Yeah, long time.
Founded in Paris, right?
They were founded in Paris. And I think that history, it adds a layer of prestige to it, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. It's not just some, fly-by-night organization.
Yeah.
They've been around long enough to see the travel industry, completely change, basically.
Oh, totally.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So Skål International, serious longevity.
Yeah.
Okay. You said 12,000 members.
At least.
Who are these people?
Well, that's the thing.
These Skål leagues, as they like to call themselves.
Stall leagues, exactly.
This Why Join Skål brochure mentions over 40 different sectors.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Who are we talking about here?
It's a really diverse group, which is interesting, right? I mean, you've got your travel agents, of course.
Sure. Yeah.
You've got hotel managers, but it goes beyond that. You're talking airlines, tourist boards,
Oh, wow.
golf courses even.
Well,
Medical tourism professionals. It's really about fostering collaboration across every single part of the industry, which I think is really interesting.
see, now that to me is fascinating because you get a pilot and a hotel manager and a tour operator all in the same room.
Yeah.
Suddenly you've got some synergy there.
Exactly.
Right.
Cross-promotional ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where the true value comes in. It's not just networking for networking's sake.
Right.
It's about making connections, genuine connections that turn into, business opportunities, creative partnerships,
Yeah.
even friendships, honestly.
Oh, for sure.
Spanning the globe.
Okay, but let's be real for a second.
Yeah.
This all sounds great if you're some bigwig in the travel industry. Right.
Yeah.
But what about,
The average Joe.
yeah. What about, John and Jane listening in who, they like to travel, but they're not. Like a travel agent or a hotel mogul.
Right.
Why should they care about Skål International?
That's a fair point, and it's a good question, and the answer might surprise you.
Okay.
It goes back to something we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
The impact of Skål
Okay.
on the travel industry as a whole.
Okay.
Particularly when it comes to something called sustainable tourism,
Right.
which is huge right now.
Right. And I did see this brochure mentions that Skål is affiliated with the UN World Tourism Organization, the UNWTO,
Yes.
which, I'll be honest, I don't really know what that means,
Right. Of course.
practically speaking.
Well, no, the UNWTO is the big international organization, right? They're all about responsible and sustainable tourism development.
Okay.
And they're the ones that are kind of leading that charge. So this affiliation actually means that Skål is involved in shaping those global tourism policies, right?
Precisely.
And all of those initiatives.
So their members really do have a seat at the table.
Exactly. They're advocating for the practices that benefit everybody.
Right.
The industry, the planet, everybody.
So they're not just all talk.
No, not at all. They actually take action, which is cool.
They actually do stuff on a global scale.
On a global scale, which is, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So how does this work? How do they actually promote this whole sustainable tourism thing? What do they actually do?
So one of the things they do is something called the Skål International Sustainable Tourism Awards. Okay.
And that's not just here's a trophy.
Right.
They're actually finding organizations in the industry that are putting sustainable practices into play.
Oh, so it's highlighting the leaders.
Yeah, exactly.
So that others will follow.
All about inspiring.
Yeah.
Right.
What kind of categories are there?
It's a lot, actually.
Yeah.
You're talking environmental protection, resource management,
Okay.
community development.
Okay.
What else? Cultural heritage preservation.
Yeah.
They've even got stuff specifically for tour operators,
Wow.
individual hotels, entire destinations even.
So it's they're saying, look, we're not just, making up these guidelines.
Right.
We're actually showcasing the people who are doing it.
Exactly. These are the guys. These are the businesses, the destinations. They're walking the walk.
Exactly. And I love that they do that because it encourages, everybody else to step up their game.
Right.
So everybody wins in the end.
Yeah, it's like a what do you call it? A race to the top.
Exactly.
Everybody's trying to outdo each other.
Which is good for everybody. For the planet.
Okay, so speaking of showcasing,
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of stuff about Skål World Congresses.
Yes.
And they go to those big travel trade shows too.
Yes, they do.
Like, what goes on at those?
Well, imagine like thousands of Skål members
Okay.
from all over the place
Yeah.
coming together.
Yeah.
And they're there to network, to learn, to do business. That's a Skål World Congress.
Okay.
It's huge.
That sounds like networking on steroids.
It is.
Like the ultimate networking event,
It is.
especially if you're in that travel and tourism world.
100%. And you know what?
No.
Having that Skål badge on
Yeah.
gives you some street cred.
Right.
You walk around those trade shows,
Yeah, yeah.
doors open.
It's like a VIP pass.
It is. It is. It is. But it's not just about that, right?
Right.
It's about actually connecting.
Right.
Skål will organize special events,
Oh, wow.
meetups just for members at those trade shows. So it's like a built-in network for you.
That's so smart.
Isn't it?
Especially if you're like a smaller business, you know,
Absolutely.
or even just an individual who's trying to make it in this like crazy, massive industry.
Huge industry.
You feel lost in the crowd, you know.
It's overwhelming, these trade shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, this makes it so much easier.
It's like you've got a network right there in your pocket.
And you know they've got those local chapters too, like over 300 clubs
Right, right.
around the world. So even if you can't make it to like the big shebang,
Yeah.
there are events and gatherings closer to home.
So no matter who you are, if you're just starting out
Yep.
or you're like a big executive,
Seasoned, whatever.
Skål has a place for you.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of finding your place,
Yes.
the Florimond Volkart Fund,
Yes.
that's a mouthful.
It is. It is. It's a mouthful, but it's like one of the best parts of Skål, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, what is it?
So it's a financial assistance program
Okay.
for members
Okay.
who are like going through it, you know, unexpected hardship, could be a natural disaster, could be like a medical emergency, even just the economy tanks, right?
Yeah, right.
They're there for them.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
I've honestly never heard of that before. Like a safety net
It's amazing
for members.
for their members.
Wow.
It speaks volumes
It really does.
about their values,
Right.
friendship, support.
They're not just colleagues.
Exactly. They're not just colleagues, they're Skålleaps. Which is different, right?
It means something.
It means you're part of a family.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's really kind of beautiful when you think about it.
It really is, especially in this industry
Yeah.
because it's so up and down, you know,
It is constant changes. It's nice to have that support.
to have people in your corner
Yeah. Exactly. Through the good times and the bad times.
celebrate the wins together.
Exactly.
Exactly. You know, it really is great to hear about an organization that like actually cares about its people.
Yeah, totally.
But we've been talking a lot about like the benefits for people in the travel industry, right?
Right.
And I'm still thinking about our listener at home who, you know, they might not be a travel agent, they might not work at a hotel,
Yeah.
but there's still something in this for them, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. And it all comes back to that responsible tourism idea, right?
Okay, yeah.
Which Skål really, really cares about. And we have to remember, you know, sustainable travel, it's not just about the environment, right?
Right.
It's making sure that tourism actually helps the places it touches.
Right. So it benefits the local community.
Exactly. Protects their culture.
Preserves everything for the future.
Yeah, for the next generation. It leaves things better than they found them, basically.
Yeah. So it's not just about, you know, reducing your carbon footprint.
It's about a positive footprint overall.
Exactly.
And because Skål is everywhere, right?
Yeah, they're huge.
They're global. What they do with sustainable tourism, it has this ripple effect.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So they support the businesses, the destinations that are doing things the right way.
So they're really kind of shaping the future of travel
Exactly.
for everyone.
For everybody.
That's a cool thought.
Right.
That even if I'm not a Skål member,
Yeah.
I could be benefiting from the stuff they're doing.
Exactly.
Just by like, you know, choosing to stay at a hotel that, you know, maybe they got an award from Skål.
Exactly. Or a tour company
Yeah.
that's committed to doing things the right way.
It's almost like a seal of approval, you know.
It is.
You see that, I don't know, maybe this hotel got recognized by Skål for sustainability. You're like, okay, well, they probably know what they're talking about.
They've done their research. They're plugged in.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just like some marketing thing.
Right. And you know what I love?
What?
Imagine you're going to a new city
Okay, yeah.
and you go to a Skål club meeting
Okay.
Right. You're going to get the inside scoop from the people who actually live there.
Oh, yeah. Like local experts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're excited to tell you about it.
They want to share their little corner of the world with you.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
It's about passion, right? A love of travel.
So, okay, we've come a long way
We have.
from like what is Skål International
Yeah.
to like uncovering this whole world.
It's amazing.
Right,
Yeah.
it really is. It's
Yeah.
like this network, but it's also like it's got a heart,
It does. It has a heart.
you know?
Yeah.
And they're out there trying to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes way beyond just the people who are members.
Exactly. It's really about connection, isn't it?
It is.
Connecting people, connecting cultures,
Hmm.
ideas,
Yeah,
just a love of this planet that we're on.
absolutely. All right, so here's a final thought for you listening at home.
Yeah.
How could you, even if you're not, going to sign up for Skål tomorrow, how could you tap into some of this stuff we've been talking about?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Maybe when you're planning your next trip, you look at those Sustainable Tourism Awards.
That's a great idea.
Or just keep an eye out, right?
Yeah.
See what Skål is doing. Because they're out there working,
They're out there.
quietly shaping the future of travel
Making a difference.
for almost a century,
Yeah.
which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is.
So there you have it. There are possibilities out there. You just got to know where to look.